Hello, viewers, it's Josie. Welcome back to Eclectic Movie Reviews. Tomorrow, as of this recording, tomorrow is Easter. So I decided to do what I'm calling a spring basket or an Easter basket of movie reviews. Just miscellaneous reviews of stuff recent first time watches. The first film I'm going to discuss is Bustin' Loose from 1981. So Richard Pryor plays a formerly convicted potty-mouthed felon named Joe Braxton, who's violated his parole. However, he's provided with yet another opportunity to turn his life around. A school teacher named Vivian Perry, played by Cicely Tyson, who's fantastic in this, recruits him to fix a school bus for her special education students. Because their school is closed down, Richard Pryor is also tasked with driving them to Miss Perry's Washington farm. At first, there's reluctance on Richard Pryor's behalf, given that the kids are a handful, to say the least. He, Cicely Tyson, and the kids find themselves in ridiculous scenarios on their trip. As the narrative progresses, however, and with Cicely Tyson's character's support, and the kids, and being, having a given responsibility with them, Richard Pryor develops a genuine connection with the students. It becomes sort of a two-way teaching situation where he, in a weird way, teaches them and they teach him. There's a lot more heart to this movie than I initially expected. Akin to films such as School of Rock, this is one of those great classic comedies to introduce your kids to when they're, I think, between like 8 and they're the right age. This is one of my favorite Richard Pryor films and doesn't get talked about as much as it should. Bustin' Loose is currently available to watch on Tubi. And there's a good Kino Blu-ray that I rented of it. Next up is Delicatessen from 1991, directed by Marc Caro and Jean-Pierre Jeunet. This is set in a post-apocalyptic world experiencing food scarcity. The builder and apartment building owner, Clapet, is basically a serial murderer. He puts for hire advertisements for employees, and what Clapet is actually doing is killing these quote-unquote hires and selling their guts as cheap meats for the people residing in the building. So yeah, cannibalism. In other words, laborers are disposable. Clapet's latest short-term hire is an ex-circus clown named Louison, played by Dominique Pignon. I believe that's how you say his last name. Louison and Clapet's daughter, Julie, played by Marie-Laure Dugnac, fall in love. Of course, this puts her at odds with her father. In an effort to thwart Clapet's diabolical schemes, Julie seeks help from an underground vegetarian resistance group called the Troglodytes. This is a masterwork of surrealism and social satire. It's a harsh truth that workers are exploited and treated as disposable objects. Caro and Jeunet are also commenting on greed and capitalism and it being like a cannibalistic system. And these bleak themes are balanced by the absurdist delivery of them, as well as the heart of the film, sweet relationship between Louison and Julie. There's an innocently quirky, childlike quality to their relationship. In addition to being a darkly comic farce on capitalism, much of the narrative of Delicatessen is Julie's emancipation from her father. Somebody on Letterboxd described the visual style as, imagine if Wes Anderson threw away all of his pastel palettes and exchanged them for grunge, steel, dirt, smoke, and grime. Another person called it a quaint little documentary about where the food really comes from. And this would make an interesting pairing with Parasite. And I can also see, certainly, this would make a great double with Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs, which came out around the same time period. Delicatessen is available to watch on Tubi and Canopy. Next up is Dragons Forever from 1988, directed by Sammo Hung. The narrative follows a lawyer named Jackie, played by Jackie Chan, who is hired by a chemical company that is being accused by a fishery for polluting water. Intending to learn evidence about the fishery that would prove their accusations false, Jackie asks his arms dealer agent friend Wong, played by Sammo Hung, to romantically pursue the fishery head, Miss Yip. More importantly, there is a plan that if Wong woos Miss Yip, he could pursue her to drop the charges. Jackie tries to do a similar thing with Miss Yip's environmental scientist cousin, Miss Wen. And then they actually start truly falling for these women, and the true intentions of the chemical company are revealed. Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and their petty criminal/gadget innovator buddy, played by Biao Yuan, have to battle against them. This is supremely goofy fun. It's a total riot, and it's interesting. Like, of course, seeing like the Jackie Chan's character, like, he's like a hot shot at first, and then he has to, he learns, he's kind of like, he learns, empathy for the environment in a weird, crazy way. And Sammo Hung is like this insecure, goofy, chubby friend, who, is, not the best with women, but, he finds, he finds love with Miss Yip and's gotta, man up, if you will, become more considerate to the environment, just like Jackie Chan's character, if that makes sense. There's great comical fight choreography. And again, there's also legit commentary about corporate greed having negative effects on the environment. If you want a sweet, cute rom-com with some action, this is definitely a high recommendation. Dragons Forever is available to watch on Pluto TV. I rented a great 4K from one of the libraries here on Long Island, Hewlett, which Hewlett Public Library on Long Island has such a great Blu-ray selection. They even have a whole selection for 4Ks, and that's where I found this. Yeah, that's Dragons Forever. Next up is Goddess of 1967 from 2000, directed by Clara Law. Tokyo Infotech worker and part-time computer hacker JM, played by Rikiya Kurokawa, who didn't really do much acting after this, has desired a 1967 Citroën DS. The French called this car the Goddess. On the internet, JM discovers one of these cars is put up for sale by a couple, but he'll have to travel to Australia to purchase it. JM travels to the land down under to buy the car. At the location of the car, JM meets a blind girl named BG, played by Rose Byrne. And she's caring for a little girl, and through her, he finds out that he was misled online. The couple JM thought was selling the car are not the actual sellers. In fact, that husband murdered his wife and then committed suicide. The actual owner resides way deep in the outback, and then JM and BG go on a journey to track this person down. And they share with each other information about their troubled pasts and help open each other's senses up to the world. And Rose Byrne's character is blind, but she, she sees, through her other senses. The cinematography of the Australian desert is astonishing, and also the cinematography helps, and editing too, helps convey effectively convey how Rose Byrne's character perceives the world as a blind character, as a blind person. And it does so in a very tasteful, respectful way to the blind community, I think. And also JM goes through a like a sort of a coming of age character arc, and learns to embrace more than just the material. I mean, of course, the car is important to him, but Rose Byrne's character, the relationship he develops with her, becomes even more important. Yeah, the narrative regarding mental health and personal healing here is so touching and emotionally resonant. Clara Law's writing and directing is patient and compassionate. The performances by Rose Byrne and Ryuki Kurokawa are truly outstanding. Rose Byrne actually won the Volpe Cup for Best Actress at the Venice Film Festival when it premiered there that year. Deservedly so. I'm surprised that not more people talk about this, given that Rose Byrne would go on to be in more films like Bridesmaids, Insidious. She was even in Troy. People forget she was in Troy. This is a super underrated gem. The Goddess of 1967 is available to watch on YouTube. Next up is Kenny from 2006, directed by Clayton Jacobson. This is an Australian mockumentary dramedy centered on a plumber in Melbourne. It's funny, I'll bring up Melbourne, Australia later. And his name is Kenny, played by Shane Jacobson, the brother of Clayton Jacobson. He concentrates on delivering and maintaining of porta potties. We follow Kenny as he tries to balance his familial relationships with his work life. Kenny takes pride in his work, but some of his family looks down upon it, particularly his former wife, whom he has a son with. Kenny goes on a trip to Nashville, Tennessee for the International Plumber and Cleaner Expo, and he befriends a flight attendant named Jackie, and they strike up a relationship. Kenny tries to reconnect with his father and brother, and additionally, at one point, Kenny tries to improve his relationship with his son. And through all this, Kenny develops a deeper sense of self-worth, thereby improving his interpersonal relationships and, just further pride in his work. This was like an interesting double feature with Wim Wenders' Perfect Days. They both feature protagonists that have genuine joyfulness to them and value one's work in spite of it being blue collar. Like, and considered like, a dirt, gross job, with toilets. Clayton and Shane Jacobson are not focused on telling a story built on one bathroom joke after another. Rather, Kenny is an emotionally heartfelt character study on self-actualization and finding personal meaning, love, and connection in one's life. Kenny is available to watch on Tubi. It's also on DVD. Given that this is an Australian film, I would love for this to get a Blu-ray release from Umbrella or Imprint. I would also love to see this get the Criterion treatment. Next up is an Iranian film called A Moment of Innocence from 1996, directed by Mohsen Makhmalbaf. I could be pronouncing his name wrong. He also directed, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he also directed he also directed Gabba, which also came out in 1996, which is an excellent movie. A Moment of Innocence is a loosely autobiographical piece of docufiction. When the director Mohsen stabbed a police officer during a protest, it obviously was a traumatic experience, and consequently, he was sent to jail. About 20 years later, Makhmalbaf searches for the police officer whom he stabbed to atone for the incident. Together with the policeman, Mackenboff recruits younger actors to recreate the scene. And Mackenboff has a lot of thought-provoking things to say in this film about forgiveness for violence. The film questions how we can resolve conflict and meet oppositional forces in the center through ways other than violence. That's why this would be an interesting film to program for any class that touches on Eastern spiritual philosophies, such as Buddhism regarding nonviolence. I can also see this being like a tool, like for like those like peace ambassador groups, like to show, like to show those people in those areas. Most of all, this film examines the importance of having empathy for others. A Moment of Innocence is available to watch on YouTube. I don't know if it has any physical release, like about its physical media availability, but I would love to see this get a Criterion release. Next up is another film set mostly in Melbourne, a lot in Melbourne, Australia, and also directed by Sammo Hung. Mr. Nice Guy from 1997. Another Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan, another film starring Jackie Chan, directed by Sammo Hung. So, set in Australia, the story follows a Chinese chef named Jackie Chan, who has a highly rated cooking show. Meanwhile, two drug-dealing gangs get into a fight and are caught on camera. A reporter named Diana is unintentionally captured in the video footage, so she and her reporting partner escape with the tape. And Diana comes across Jackie, and he assists her in fighting off the goons. And when leaving the scene in the car, they accidentally mix and swap the drug tape with the drug gang fight tape with one of Jackie's cooking show tapes. Later, Jackie sees his girlfriend Mickey and his nephews take one of the tapes, thinking it's a recording of his cooking show, only to realize that it is the drug fight. Giancarlo and his goon team chase after the tapes and kidnap Mickey. It's up to Jackie, Diana, and his friends Romeo and Lakeisha to rescue Mickey from Giancarlo and his gangsters. Like, the premise is totally bonkers. Like, I can't believe something like this exists, and it's completely ridiculous, but that's what makes it so awesomely unique. Certainly, as one would expect from a Sammo Hung directed Jackie Chan movie, it has top-tier fight choreography. But the cherry on top of the ice cream, though, is the chase sequences. Somebody wrote on Letterboxd, Jackie has 3 beautiful girlfriends and fights a guy who looks like Cody Rhodes by feeding him hot peppers. Sensational. Another person wrote, this has a 43% on Rotten Tomatoes. Translation, 50% of people don't like to have fun. Overall, it's a total riot. Mr. Nice Guy is available to watch on Tubi and Canopy. Given that they're both martial arts romantic comedies with cooks as their protagonists, I would love to see this program in a double feature with the Stephen Chow film, The God of Cookery. Next up is, I'm going to talk about a Japanese film from 1941 called Ornamental Hairpin, directed by Hiroshi Shimizu. The narrative here follows a group of patrons at a spa hotel in a rural area of Japan. There's a soldier named Namura, 2 women named Emi and Okiku, an elderly man and his grandsons, and a vacationing couple, Mr. and Mrs. Hirayashu. While bathing, Namura steps on Emi's hairpin, leaving a mark of injury. Consequently, Namura has to stay longer at the hotel. An emergency meeting, if you will, is held to talk about Namura's foot injury. Emi is notified, since it was her hairpin, and she returns, given that she already left the place after finding out about Namura's foot injury. Emi assists Namura with his physical rehabilitation. Taro and Gyro, the grandsons of the old man, tag alongside Namura and Emi in the fitness activities. Then Namura and Emi fall in love with each other, and he sort of bonds with the little boys. It's a heartwarming story of lonely people coming together for a period of time. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It's available to watch on Plex, and it's included on Criterion DVD set Travels with Mr. Shimizu. This was 100% deserving of a Blu-ray upgrade. Criterion, if you're listening, think about it. Next up, we're going to 2003. We're talking about Out of Time, directed by Carl Franklin. Denzel Washington plays a police chief named Matt Whitlock. He and his police detective wife Alex, played by Eva Mendes, are in the midst of undergoing a separation. It's sort of more a matter of procrastinating signing divorce papers because you still kind of have a thing for each other. And so then Denzel becomes romantically entangled with a newly diagnosed cancer patient named Anne, played by Sanaa Lathan. Well, they start their affair, and then she reveals to him a little bit later that she's terminally ill. Similar to Denzel, Sanaa Lathan is separated from her spouse. Her husband's abusive. And in an effort to pay for her treatments, Denzel's character takes a massive quantity of money from a seizure of drugs. Suspiciously, Anne and Chris are reported dead in a double homicide, and Denzel is listed as Anne's beneficiary. This makes Denzel's character a suspect for the double homicide and a target for the DEA. What makes the stakes even higher is that Alex, Eva Mendes' character, to reiterate, his ex-wife, is certainly on the lookout for him, given that she's a detective. And it becomes a super fun cat and mouse chase against time. This movie's awesome. It's an adrenaline rush-filled roller coaster ride of a mystery thriller with superb performances, sleek editing, and sharp writing and sharp directing from Carl Franklin. And did he write the script? Because Out of Time screenplay. Oh, screenplay is by David Collard. So somebody on Letterboxd described Out of Time as being like Looney Tunes, but less goofy. It's not comedy per se, but I can see there being nostalgic laughter while watching this. Like, that was the case for me. I say that because we don't get movies akin to this as of recently, so it's a matter of laughing along with the tropes. This is a super underrated neo-noir. It really is. It's totally fun. Out of Time is available to watch on Tubi. It seriously needs a Blu-ray upgrade. I would love to see this get a 4K. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about School for Scoundrels from 1960, directed by Robert Hamer. There was a remake of it in 2006. I believe with Billy Bob Thornton and John Heder, which I have not seen, and I don't know if I plan to. Maybe. But so meek but generally good-natured businessman Henry Pelfrey, played by Ian Carmichael, enrolls at the College of Lifemanship led by Professor Potter, played by Alistair Sim. The school is designed to teach people shortcuts in achieving success. So basically how to con people and get to the top. Henry intends on winning the heart of his love interest April, played by Jeanette Scott, from his rival Raymond Delaney, played by Terry Thomas, a crooked automobile salesperson. Through following Mr. Potter's instructions, Henry finds himself in nail-biting hijinks. This movie is one hysterical sequence after another. The brilliantly comical performances bring the sharply written characters to life. It's a clever balance of a bitingly mean-spirited revenge plot with a heartfelt romantic comedy. What's funny is that this is based on a set of humorous self-help books by someone actually named Stephen Potter. And I use that terminology because they were written as parodies of self-improvement literature at the time. But, I guess they can be taken literally by some people. Unfortunately, School for Scoundrels is not available to stream, but try to get a copy from your library, whether that be on the shelf or via Interloan. This should definitely get a Blu-ray upgrade. Obviously, I would love to see this get the Criterion treatment, but I can also see this being a release from Indicator, given that it's a UK title. So that's it for my movie discussions. I've also been doing a lot of reading, and given that it's Earth Day is coming up, I'm gonna recommend a couple of books, that kind of have a naturey feel. Well, there are other books I can recommend too, but I don't have them physically with me. I just finished reading this, Nora's Ark by Victoria Williamson. Excellent book. So Nora Day lives in temporary accommodation, relies on food banks for dinner, and doesn't have a mum, but she's happy enough, as she has a dad and a mini zoo of rescued wildlife to care for. Adam Sinclair lives with his parents in a nice house with a private tutor and everything he could ever want. But his life isn't perfect. Far from it. He's stuck at home recovering from cancer with an overprotective mum and no friends. When a nest of baby birds brings them together as an animal rescue team, Adam and Nora discover that they're not so different after all. Can they solve the mystery of Nora's missing mother together? And can their teamwork save their zoo of rescued animals from the rising flood? Beautiful, beautiful, touching, heartfelt story. Seek this one out. Speaking of birds, I read another good novel recently called With Just One Wing. And it was about this boy and his friend who care for a bird with just one wing. And speaking of one wing, Bird Wing by Raffi Martin. This is like a sort of retelling of the Swan, the Seven Brothers. I believe that's the name of the fairy tale. The Six Swans. It's a retelling of the Six Swans by the Brothers Grimm. Once upon a time, 6 brothers were turned into swans. And once upon a time, the spell was broken, giving back to each brother his human form, all except for Ardwin, the youngest. He was left with one arm enchanted forever a wing. And so he grows up marked by difference, a prince struggling to find a place in his father's kingdom, while his wings pull him towards the open sky. Ardwin barely knows how to speak to his family, yet his wing gives him the power to understand every other creature in the forest. Half the time, Ardwin wishes his wings were gone, but when he learns that his father has plans to have the wing severed, he knows he must flee to save his life and to find his way. This is beautiful fairy tale, and it's emotional, and it has really really pretty deep themes of like forgiveness and peace, which was surprising when I read it. It's this really, really, really beautiful book. The Secret Horses of Briar Hill by Megan Shepherd. There are winged horses that live in the mirrors of Briar Hill Hospital, in the mirrors that reflect the elegant rooms once home to a princess, now filled with sick children. Only Emmeline can see the creatures. It's her secret. One morning, Emmeline climbs over the wall of the hospital's abandoned gardens and discovers something incredible. A white horse with a broken wing has left the mirror world and entered her own. The horse, named Foxfire, is hiding from a dark and sinister force, Black Horse, who hunts by colorless moonlight. Emmeline is to keep him from finding her new friend. She must surround the Foxfire with treasures of brilliant shades. But where can Emmeline find color in a world full of gray? Written in starkly beautiful prose, The Secret Horses of Briar Hill, like The Secret Garden and A Little Princess before it, will be cherished as a beloved classic for years to come. And This is a very beautiful, magically realist story, very unique narrative, and it has some really a really interesting twist towards the end, which I don't want to reveal. Really great book. The Lost Ryu by Emi Watanabe Cohen. Um, uh, this this book, Kohei Fujiwara has never seen a big Ryu, a dragon, a type of dragon in real life. Those dragons all disappeared from Japan after World War II, and 20 years later, they've become the stuff of legend. They're smaller cousins who can fit in your palm, or all but remain, but Kohei has a memory of the big Ryu. He knows that's impossible, but still, in it, he can see his grandpa, Oji-san, gazing up at the big Ryu with what looks to Kohei like total and absolute wonder. When Kohei was little, he dreamed he'd go on a grand quest to bring the big Ryu back, to get Oji-san to smile again. But now, Oji-san is really, really sick, and Kohei is running out of time. With help of Isolde, his new half-Jewish, half-Japanese neighbor, and Isolde's Yiddish-speaking dragon, Cheshire, he thinks he can do it. Maybe. He doesn't have a choice. In The Lost Ryu, debut author Emi Watanabe Cohen gives us a story of multi-generational pain, magic, and the lengths to which we go to protect the people we love. And this is a very, heartfelt exploration of resilience and faith and just not giving up. And also like how we can transcend generational trauma. This is The Lost Ryu. And last but not least is this is a novel in verse, but I just read it as prose anyway. It's called A Slip of a Girl. It's Irish. It's set in Ireland during the land wars. The family farm is everything to Anna. The stone wall where she sits with her best friend Liam. The fields of chickweed and lumpers for tea and supper. She promises her ailing ma'am that she'll always look after their home and her youngest sister Nuala, who needs extra care. When their landlord, an English earl who owns much of the land in her part of County Longford, tries to seize their farm for sheep pasture, Anna is faced with an impossible choice: give up her house to be destroyed or face imprisonment. There are whispers of a growing rebellion in the country, but how can one girl stand up to the Earl's dreaded battering ram? Poetry, family accounts, and an unforgettable young heroine combine this deeply personal look at the Irish Land War. Yeah, this was fantastic too. And it contains actual photographs from the Irish Land War, which is pretty cool. Let me try to find some. They won't be easy to look at here. They're in black and white, so. So that's it for my movie and book discussion. I often like to picture who would adapt books into movies. For A Slip of a Girl, I can see maybe Colm Barade, who directed The Quiet Girl, doing a really good adaptation of this. The Lost Ryu, I can see Makoto Shinkai, the director of Your Name, Weathering with You, and Suzume. I can also see Takashi Yamakaza, I believe that's his name, who directed Godzilla -1, do a good adaptation of this. I can see that director, believe it or not, do a good adaptation of this if done for some reason, of Birdwing. Secret Horses of Briar Hill. I can see Andrew Haigh doing a good adaptation of this. For Nora's Ark, given it's set in the UK, and given that it touches on poverty, I can see Andrea Arnold doing a good adaptation of this. I can also see I believe Philip Barantini is his name. The guy who just directed Adolescence. Philip Barantini. Yes, Philip Barantini, who directed all 4 episodes of Adolescence and Boiling Point. I can see doing a good adaptation of this also. So yeah, that's my video for today. I hope everybody has a really happy Easter. Thank you for watching. Goodbye for now.